What if Hollywood's most glamorous parties, Mike, were actually a trap? What if the people you thought had it all, the fame, the money, the status, paid for it with something they could never get back? Because that's exactly what Terrence Howard just hinted at. And what Katt Williams has been screaming for years. And now it looks like these two are joining forces to bring the whole system crashing down. Because when Terrence dropped a truth bomb on the PBD podcast about what really goes down at those exclusive Hollywood parties, fans lost their minds. He wasn't just throwing shade at Diddy, he was exposing the cost of staying a man in an industry that rewards only those who surrender. But here's the real kicker. Everything Terrence just said, Katt Williams already told us, and nobody listened. Until now. Let's break down exactly what they said, who they exposed, and why a podcast between these two could blow the lid off the darkest corners of the entertainment industry. Terrence Howard breaks the silence. When Terrence Howard appeared on the PBD podcast, no one expected him to go off script like that. It wasn't just a conversation, it was a confession, and it started with a phrase that left everyone speechless. You lose your man card, and you don't get that back. According to Terrence, that man card isn't just a metaphor. It's your integrity, your identity, your right to say no in a room full of power. He didn't name names at first, but the implications were loud and clear. Many of the celebrities we've seen rise to fame, especially those around Diddy, gave something up along the way, and Terrence made it personal. He wasn't talking theory. He was speaking from experience. Diddy's alleged move on Terrence. Here's where things took a wild turn. Terrence says Diddy invited him, not once, not twice, but for weeks straight. The offer? Innocent enough on the surface. Come teach me how to act, Diddy allegedly said. Terrence, being the professional he is, shows up ready to work. But according to him, there was no script, no acting lesson, just Diddy sitting, staring, and not saying a word. Then it got weirder. Next week, Diddy wanted to hear some music. Terrence plays a few tracks. Diddy listens. No reaction. Then comes the real moment of truth. Terrence's assistant pulls him aside and says, I think he's trying to, That's when Terrence says it hit him. He wasn't invited for his talent. He was being scouted. Terrence walked away and never looked back. The price of saying no, but that decision came with a cost. According to Terrence, the minute you say no in Hollywood, doors start slamming shut. He claims multiple producers approached him with similar shady proposals, and each time, he refused. Sometimes he even threatened violence when his masculinity was disrespected. When you approach a real man like a woman, you're gonna get a real man's reaction. And that's exactly the point. Terrence says Hollywood doesn't want real men. They want submission, and the ones who push back, they vanish. Katt Williams warned us. First, if all of this sounds familiar, that's because Katt Williams has been saying it for years, and back then, everyone thought he was crazy. From interviews with Fat Joe to viral moments on Club Shay, Katt told stories that sounded too wild to be true, but maybe they weren't. Katt says he had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect himself. He claims Diddy repeatedly tried to invite him to party. But Katt knew better. I don't let men take me out, sir. I'm good. And now, looking back, his cryptic stories are starting to make a whole lot more sense. Because what Katt was describing, it sounds exactly like what Terrence just revealed. Podcasts that could break the internet. So what happens when two truth-tellers like Terrence and Katt link up? According to rumors, they're already talking about starting a podcast together, and fans are begging for it to happen. If these two get on the mic together, they could expose the whole industry, one fan wrote. This would be the most outrageous media property ever created, another said. And let's be honest, they're not wrong, because if Terrence has stories, Katt has receipts, and the two of them together, unfiltered, uncensored, unstoppable, the Hollywood dress agenda. But the conversation goes deeper than just parties and shady invitations. Both Katt and Terrence believe there's a coordinated effort in Hollywood to strip black men of their masculinity, on screen and off, and they're not the only ones. Comedian Eddie Griffin was one of the first to call it out. Back in 1999, in his film Foolish, he played a comedian pressured to wear a dress for a role. Sound familiar? Fast forward to 2006, and Dave Chappelle tells Oprah the same story. Hollywood wanted him in a dress. He refused. Then suddenly, Dave disappears. Later, Kevin Hart said that stuff never happened to him. But then, Kevin Hart wears a dress on SNL, and his career skyrockets. Coincidence? Katt Williams doesn't think so. There's a long line of dress-wearing people before Kevin, Katt said. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we pay the price. Controlled image or conspiracy? The idea that actors are being pushed to cross certain lines isn't new, but the pattern is getting harder to ignore. Katt says Martin Lawrence tried to get him to co-star in Big Mama's House. 2, Katt refused. And suddenly, Brandon T. Jackson got the role. Same script, same movie, different actor. Brandon took the part and wore the dress. Katt claims he had that script first, but he drew the line, so they gave it to someone who wouldn't. Now, ask yourself, is that a coincidence? Or is there a formula for fame in Hollywood? And if so, how many people actually pass the test? Terrence calls out the double standard back to Terrence Howard. He didn't just hint at a secret agenda, he called out the racial bias behind it. He said Hollywood allows white men to be powerful and soft at the same time. But when black men show strength, it's seen as a threat. Terrence said, "My daddy taught me never take the vertebrae out of your back or the base out of your throat. I raised men, not sheep." He believes black male actors are being asked to erase their identity to fit into a system that never wanted them to be men in the first place. And that might be the real reason he was dropped from Iron Man 2. Not attitude problems, not salary disputes, but because he refused to fit their mold. Actor Terrence Howard has long been known for his unorthodox perspectives, and he's never one to shy away from sharing bold, often controversial theories. His recent guest appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast quickly became a trending topic across social media, sparking heated debates thanks to its provocative content. At 55, Howard, best known for his role as James Rhodes, aka War Machine in the Avengers franchise, managed to leave even Joe Rogan, a host famous for his openness to alternative ideas, at a loss for words. During the 3-hour conversation, it was Howard who took center stage, captivating listeners with claims of extraordinary mental abilities, including what he described as a near-perfect memory. Right from the start, Howard dropped a jaw-dropping revelation. "I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb telling myself, 'Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget.'" He added, "I remember being circumcised. I remember the whole 9. As the discussion unfolded, Howard delved even deeper into his unique worldview. He brought up the Walter Russell periodic table and shared his theories about the flower of life symbol, suggesting that early misunderstandings of the ancient diagram led science down a flawed path. Howard's bold declarations, mixed with his philosophical and scientific musings, left a lasting impression on Rogan. So much so that the podcast host later took to Instagram to praise Howard, highlighting the actor's potential to leave a transformative mark on the world. Conclusion. Truth, clout, or conspiracy? So what do you believe? Are Katt Williams and Terrence Howard just chasing clout? Or are they telling the hard truths everyone else is too scared to say out loud? Because if what they're saying is even half true, then Hollywood isn't just broken, it's weaponized, and the ones who refuse to surrender their identity, they don't just get ignored, they get erased. So let's hear your thoughts. Are Katt and Terrence exposing the game? Or are they just playing it better than anyone else? Drop your take in the comments. Because if this podcast actually happens, it's gonna get messy, and you'll want to be first in line when the tea starts pouring.
Please subscribe to my channel for more extremely exciting celebrity news.